So I've been known for giving Super 7 more than a little bit of shit. I'll be upfront about it. And it was brought to my attention, hey, you don't own any Super 7. How do you know? Well, I know $20 for a 5 POA figure is outrageous, but there is a valid point. I don't own a single Ultimates. So I saw this sale at Big Bad Toy Store, and I said, alright, time to put my money where my mouth is. Right off the bat, unintended. Why did I buy the bat? Well, it's real simple. First off, it's an easy figure to fit into your collection. You say it's an oversized bat. I know they're 7-inch scale. It's oversized. I've always liked the bats. That's not a problem. So that's not a huge deal. Beyond that, it was only $20 at Big Bad Toy Store. I said, why not? I bought that and a bunch of He-Man Origin figures that they had on sale. Win-win for me. First, let's get to the packaging. You got the plain brown box. Okay, that's to protect it. Okay, I get where you're going here. And it's wrapped up. Okay, that's to protect the package on the inside. Okay. I get it, but I don't. I believe this is intended to make it seem a little bit more high-end, and I kind of get that. But then when you get to the contents, well, let's just get past the packaging, okay? There's a slip case, of course, where then you reveal the window box. And there you have the bat and all the accessories. Now, once you get in there, since you've had to go through so much tape already, there's really no tape, so that's good. The one thing I didn't like was it was a little hard because, generally speaking, I don't keep my packaging, I toss it. And what I try to do is just kind of put it all back in. That way, it takes up less space in my garbage can. And that proved to be very difficult with this packaging. I suppose the logic is that, once you open it, you don't want to close it. Well, maybe, but I'm weird like that. Give me a break. Okay, so it's nice packaging, intended to look higher grade collector. Yeah, that does. Now, is that packaging worth $50 freaking dollars? No. It's packaging, dude. It's packaging. And if this is the argument anyone has, which some have had with me, it's like, you can make a pretty package. That's what she said. And it not cost that much. People have been doing it for years. So it comes down to the product in the package anyway. That's what you're actually paying for. But it doesn't matter what the packaging looks like, because in the end, you're buying the contents inside. You do not buy a cereal box because you want a nice picture of Snap, Crackle, and Pop. You want the toy inside and maybe some of the sugar-coated goodness too. So looking at the sugar-coated goodness, getting it out, keep in mind, this is animated. They're going for an animated aesthetic. I get that. And it looks okay. It looks the part. It looks really good. It fits that that whole idea. However, when you start moving him around, you start noticing a few things. The first thing I noticed was the legs were loose. And one weird thing is one leg will go kick back if I shake it hard enough and get stuck. That's weird. I've never seen an action figure do that before. But the legs especially are very loose. There were several times this figure fell over, and unfortunately I hadn't actually turned the camera on when it happened. But, once you get it solid, it stands. But getting it there is a bit of a chore. Now, again, you look and you see a lot of accessories. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to get into that, but I'm going to talk about something I've never heard anybody talk about in a Super 7 review. I did not realize the plastics felt so cheap. And I got to admit, they really do. And, I've not had this figure very long. And the more I mess with it, the looser it seems. And this very cheap plastic, and I'm going to equate it to some dollar store toy plastic I've dealt with. Because that's the thing. I go on all directions. I go to the high end and I go to low end. And this feels like low end kind of construction and plastic. I'm just going to say it right now. I mean, and don't get me wrong. I thought the first time I had a Valiverse figure in my hand, I thought that was made of cheap plastic. And I found out, no, that's wrong. It's just the way the durometer was and da-da-da. And, yeah, it can be filled. This is on the other end of it. It's very soft. It's not the gumminess that we get from Marvel Legends sometimes. Looking at you, Tarantula. But this is definitely softer plastic. And I suppose an argument can be made that they're just trying to avoid breakage. But it's also creating a looseness that I don't like. And it's really weird. It's like recording the audio after. And since I've taken these pictures, it's even looser than it was then. And that was only like 24 hours ago. That's kind of the other... people complain about Action Force being too tight. This is the other way, and I don't like it. It's getting looser and looser is the problem. The head is extremely loose. I mean, it just... God. It just... Now, already walking in, I knew the articulation was lacking. Single joints in the legs and the arms. It is. I mean, it is. But, that's a little disappointing. I mean, even though you knew it walking in, it's still disappointing because I think this figure would look great with some dynamic posability. I did not know there was no kind of rocker in the ankle. That's really weird. There's a boot cut. I'm trying to figure out. At one point I thought there was a forearm cut, but now I don't think there is. I think that's just the swivel in the arm moving. So there's that. There's quite a bit of movement though. Tilt and back and forth. So, we already knew this was the lacking point. That's okay. But now let's get to those accessories. Alright, so you look down, you see a lot of accessories. That's true, but it's a bat. Bats have a lot of accessories. Let's get the easy stuff out of the way. 2 trigger hands, 2 fists, and 2 grasping hands. Okay. You have the typical bat, flamethrower, machine gun, and claw. The claw does not articulate. I was going to knock that on Super 7, and then I realized, wait a minute, they did the same damn thing in Classified. So, knowing that they did the same damn thing in Classified, I'm not going to knock it that much. I do wonder how they can pull this off in a 1/18 scale. I wonder how they can pull this off in a 1/18 scale, and they can't pull it off in a 1/12 or a 1/10 scale. That's a little bit of a bug to me. Alright, moving on. We have this electrical effect. And you got to look carefully. In the chest, you'll notice a big hole. And that's where that's supposed to go. You're supposed to take the cover off, the glass cover off, and put that in. Now, the strap that holds the grenades goes straight across that glass. So getting it off is a pain in the butt. And as I looked around at my other bats, the strap is to the side. So why the hell did they do this? No one knows. They could have easily moved that over and it would not been a big deal. But also you have this big gaping hole in the chest that's always there. So that's fun. Yay! I have a swappable head that has, I think would be better if that electrical effect was removable. I don't think it is. I've tried to remove it and it doesn't want to go. And then they have probably the most egregious accessory of all, the backpack. This is a terrible, terrible design, and I've read reports that this is broken on people, but it sits up on the shoulders rather than holding on the back. And I'm going to tell you what. The rest of this figure is soft. For some reason, this backpack is really hard, but this is not hard like good, gonna hold still. This is hard like this is gonna break. And I'll tell you the truth, just for this picture, just taking it off and putting it on and taking it off of the figure, I really thought it was gonna break when I was putting it on and off. I could feel it. I could feel the tension. And it's terrible. So I'm not even going to use it. Not even going to bother with that backpack. That is terrible. That is a terrible design. It's crap. It's destined to break. Yeah, it's totally useless. It's probably going to break in storage, to be perfectly honest with you. Then, of course, you have this arm, which I think is supposed to be swappable. But I don't understand how no review even covered this arm that I saw. So I just jumped through some reviews on this, and nobody even really. They just said it was they acted like it was an extra piece. But that one part seems like it should go into a joint somewhere, but I don't understand how that's supposed to work. So that's confusing, and of course there's no instructions. So how the hell are you going to figure this out? Yeah. Anyway, so I got to looking at the figure, and then I just said, wait a minute. And I pulled out my classified version, and I just stood them side by side. Now, of course, this one's taller, but as I got to looking, man, the classified sure as hell has a lot more detail to it. I mean, and it's little things. It's like rough, there's ruffles in the pants, for instance. You can see some ruffles in the sleeves on the bat, but not much. I mean, it's almost like it's kind of put there by accident. Whereas, in the classified one, it looks like the arms are purposefully that way. The legs are perfectly smooth on the Super 7 one, and you can see some purpose in the pants with the classified. Now I know they're going for an animated aesthetic where everything's kind of flat anyway. So maybe that's what they were trying to do. I don't feel that way. I feel like they tried to avoid as much detail as possible because, again, it's animated. They don't need to go for detail. They just need to go for the detail that they got on screen. But between the looseness, the cheapness of the plastic, and the kind of scary backpack, and yeah, it brings a lot of question marks in. There's some engineering decisions I'm not sure about, like why is the ball down in the neck instead of in the head? I don't understand that. And you can argue about articulation breaking up a sculpt. I can kind of see your point, but then when I look at it and it's so loose that it flops around, what's the purpose in that? And having trouble standing up is another big, big flaw that, Hasbro can't avoid with Marvel Legends. But, you're trying to charge almost $30 more and say this is better quality. Now, again, I'm going to get into that price. I bought higher end stuff too that was at a higher price. And I've said that's maybe worth $50. So, again, I look at this and compare it to that, and the one thing I gotta say, the higher ends like Mofex, at least you can recognize the quality. I mean, the quality is there. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But you play around with this bat, and I'm not seeing the quality. I don't see, the engineering's kind of bad because it's really kind of floppy. And there's a lot of questions I have. I mean, what is going on with this design with the strap going over the clear plastic part that you need to remove, and just a ton of stuff. I mean, it's really confounding and confusing. And I will say this originally was priced at $55. If I had spent $55 on this, I would have been mad and demanded a refund, because this is not worth $55. At $20, I think I spent too much. I really think I'm going to be flat honest here. This belongs in Dollar General for about $15 to $18. It's not worth the plastic they put into it and the paint they put on it. And honestly, looking at it closer, I'm starting to think there is no paint. It looks like every part was molded plastic, except for maybe the silver on the boots. Yeah. But yeah, everything was molded that way. The other thing I forgot to mention, the holster has the typical, let's limit articulation kind of motion because it crunches up with the belt. That's an annoyance. I mean, you didn't even need this little piece of strap going up to the belt, since this is being held onto the leg anyway. You could just got rid of that, and then it would just be free floating, and then boom, you have a little strap around the leg that indicates that's part of it. So why bother? Again, it's just a lot of weird choices and weird ideas here that don't make a whole lot of sense, and craze for an inferior toy. And it's really, really sad when I can say the better value is the Hasbro product. So yeah, I've gave Super 7 a lot of shit, and you know what? This toy tells me I'm perfectly justified in it. This is the last Super 7 I will ever buy, because this is terrible. And I know I said I wasn't going to try to give ratings on my reviews anymore and everything, but you know what? This is that bad. This is that bad. I mean, there would have been ways to save it. I mean, it's okay sitting there doing nothing on your shelf, which maybe that's what a lot of people like. I don't know. But I think this one, I mean, eventually this thing's going to fall over and take a bunch of guys with it. And I got to think every Super 7 Ultimates is just like that. They're going to fall over, take a bunch of guys with them. You're going to spend your Saturday picking up the casualties. And that's not fun. So yeah. Okay, I vented. People who love Super 7, y'all got to explain to me what your deal is, because this ain't a good toy. And y'all are popping down $55 each for these things? Yeah, that's something, I don't know. I don't understand it. But anyway, okay, that'll wrap up Infinite Realms. I've vented about my Super 7 purchase. Alright, you guys have a great day.